If you've been feeling like something doesn't add up in Ontario right now, you're not imagining it. Yes, Ontario's population is technically still growing. No, the province hasn't gone negative yet, but something important is happening under the surface. People are leaving Ontario, not in a dramatic overnight way, not in a headline-grabbing collapse, but quietly, consistently, intentionally. And when I say people are leaving, I'm not talking about retirees or short-term moves. I'm talking about long-time Ontario residents, people born here, people raised here, people who were supposed to build their futures here. And the group leaving the fastest, people between 25 and 35 years old, which is exactly my age group. I'm 28 years old. I'm a real estate agent here in Ontario. I work in this market every single day. And I can tell you firsthand, the frustration is real. Now let me be clear before this gets twisted. Ontario's population isn't collapsing because immigration suddenly stopped. Yes, international student numbers are way down from the peak. Yes, a lot of temporary workers are leaving because visas aren't being renewed. Yes, many people who came from low-value diplomas from strip mall colleges are gone. That's all true, but that's not the scary part. The scary part is that Canadians are leaving. Young professionals, skilled workers, people with options. They're saying, I grew up here, but this just doesn't make sense anymore. And the reason is obvious. Housing, affordability, and the overall cost of just existing in Ontario. Let's talk about real estate because this is where the math completely breaks down. Yes, prices have come down from the absolute peak. Yes, the market has cooled, but cooled compared to insanity is still insane. In 2026, the average home price across much of Ontario is still roughly 10 to 11 times the average household income. That's not a normal market. That's not sustainable. That's a system that doesn't work. And I see this every day in my job. I work with people my age who are doing everything right. Good jobs, good credit, 2 incomes, and they're still locked out. People love to say, just save more money, cut back, stop buying lattes. That argument doesn't survive basic math. 30 to 40 years ago, an average family could buy a home for about 2.5 to 3 times their income. That wasn't downtown Toronto. That was normal neighborhoods, normal houses. Even with high interest rates in the 1980s, it was hard, but possible. Today, it's not hard, it's impossible. You cannot save your way into a market where housing costs 10 times what you earn. You cannot budget your way into a future when down payments are bigger than entire annual salaries. And people my age understand that. They're not lazy, they're not entitled, they're rational. When the numbers don't work, they walk away. And once housing breaks, everything else follows. Let's talk about commuting. Traffic in the GTA and Hamilton area gets worse every single year. Not slightly worse, noticeably worse. Transit projects take decades, budgets explode, timelines mean nothing. From a young person's perspective, it feels like chaos stacked on top of chaos. You're paying insane rent or a massive mortgage. You're sitting in traffic for hours, and you're watching governments argue while nothing improves. That leads to something more dangerous than affordability issues. Hopelessness. When people stop believing things will get better, they leave. And that's exactly what's happening. So where are they going? Alberta has a huge wave, but that's slowing down. Unemployment is rising. Housing costs are climbing there too. Atlantic Canada had its moment, but job opportunities are tightening. So more and more people are doing something that used to be rare. They're leaving the country. Young Canadians are moving to the United States. Higher wages, more opportunity, housing that actually lines up with income. Others are moving to Mexico, Costa Rica, or parts of Europe where their money goes further and life feels lighter. This is a brain drain, and Canada should be deeply worried about it because these aren't people who failed here. These are people who looked at the system and decided the system has failed them. Now let's talk honestly about immigration. Canada needs immigration. Ontario needs immigration, but immigration without housing, infrastructure, healthcare capacity, and job growth doesn't create prosperity. It creates pressure. When population growth outpaces housing supply, rents explode. When supply can't keep up, and when affordability collapses, people with options leave. That's not political, that's math. And we are dangerously close to a point where Ontario's population growth stalls. Not because people don't want to come here, but because the people already here are leaving faster than we can replace them. So who's responsible? Government, federal, provincial, municipal, decades of underbuilding, slow approvals, policies that ignored supply while demand exploded. This didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen by accident. Here's what really worries me. When people my age think about their future, leaving Canada is now a normal conversation. That thought never crossed most people's minds in a generation ago. That should scare everyone. Because once people emotionally detach from a place, winning them back is incredibly hard. Ontario isn't doomed, but it's at a crossroad. Fix housing affordability, restore opportunity, make life feel possible again, and people will stay. Ignore it, and this quiet exit becomes something much bigger. And that's the conversation we need to be having right now. Everyone says Ontario is growing, but that's not the full story. I'm 28 years old, I'm a real estate agent, and people my age are leaving. Not because they want to, because they can't afford to stay. Homes are still 10 times the average income, even after the market cooled. This isn't about lattes or avocado toast. The math is broken. Add insane rent, brutal traffic, and no confidence, things will improve, and people walk away. And while everyone says Ontario is growing, young people are leaving.